Welcome to this episode of Purpose Power. Today we're going to cover what is a mission statement. Let's start with a few key concepts surrounding what a mission statement is. If you looked up mission statement on Wikipedia, you would see that it defines a mission statement as a short statement that tells us why a company or an entity exists. That doesn't quite serve our purposes for developing a personal mission statement, but it does give us something to work with. When we talk about a personal mission statement, we're taking that to the next level, and we're really getting into what I define a mission statement is, which is our stated purpose that identifies the values within which we want to live. As Mary Poppins says, we should always begin at the beginning. And in our case, the beginning starts with the question, why? Why should I develop a personal mission statement? Well, I can think of 3 reasons. By putting down on paper what your personal mission is, you are going to lend yourself a sense of clarity and focus that you have never experienced before. This is your time to really prioritize the values that matter to you versus the values that you just admire. And ultimately, this leads to a greater deal of stress reduction. From a neurological perspective, ambiguity and uncertainty breeds anxiety. And so by having clarity on what you stand for and what you want to do with your life in terms of your values approach to every domain, that lends such clarity and it reduces anxiety. Now, speaking of those different domains, having a personal mission statement where you state your values, it applies to your behavior in each domain of your life. So I'm talking conference room to the couch, boardroom to the bedroom. When you're deciding how to handle yourself out in public, whether it's at the grocery store or at the beach or in a professional setting, your personal mission statement becomes the guiding force for how you behave and interact with others. Finally, having a personal mission statement helps you make decisions in a clearer and more grounded fashion, whether that is what to wear, to what job to pursue, to what type of life to lead. This decision making becomes easier because you know what you stand for. Now, I mentioned that from a neurological perspective, ambiguity breeds anxiety, and there is scientific research behind that. What happens in the brain when we have uncertainty and we have a lack of decision is that it throws off kind of like an error message on a browser page. It's kind of like when you click on something and it says 404, page not found. We have to attend to the error with our mental energies before we can move on and focus on the task at hand. This all happens in what's called our orbital frontal cortex. That's the front part of our brains. And it is the front part that actually governs a lot of our visual processes. I think that this is tremendously interesting because it means that we really need to look at the error. We need to focus on the error before we can move on. Now, our brains are pattern predicting machines. And so when something falls out of pattern, our error message alerts us that we need to attend to something. And when you go down the road of developing a formal personal mission statement, those error codes and those little distractions become fewer and fewer over time because you've given yourself the pattern that you are going to live your life within. So what do we do with this information and how can you put it to use in your own life? Well, now that you understand what a personal mission statement is and why you should write one, let's talk about the first steps in putting it into place. Many people who have gone through the process will readily admit that these 1 to 2 sentences took a long time. They took some emotional introspection and they took a lot of personal reflection. It's kind of like finding a new outfit to wear. You try on a lot of different things that you think you may like until you find the one that you take home. So, a challenge for you that will take no more than 5 minutes of your time following this video. Get out a pen and a pencil or jot down notes in your phone or a note in a word processing document and think of 3 times in recent memory, maybe the last day, maybe the last week, maybe even the last month, 3 times when you have felt that you've had a difficult time making a decision between 2 okay or 2 good options. This could have been at work, it could have been at home, it could have been in your self-care routine. Think about where you've had a little bit of a static decision to make, and think about what values you ultimately used in making that decision. I want to hear reports back in the comments. If you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. This has been this episode of Purpose Power with Dr. Emily Socash.
Here at the Mission Labs, our mission is helping you find yours. Head over to themissionlabs.com and sign up for our Mission Labs Members Lounge to get the inspiration you need now for crafting a personal mission statement and beginning your life of stated purpose.